Good morning, everyone. We are back for our weekly Stories for a Better Normal. Hi. We have our resource persons on deck. Good morning. We are back for the weekly episode of Stories for a Better Normal. And our episode for today is Easy Backyard Birding. Stories for a Better Normal is weekly, and it is hosted by Deputy Speaker Lauren Legarda. It aims to raise awareness among people who are on quarantine, as well as everybody else, and to take advantage of the pandemic to see whether we can change lifestyles, be aware of nature, and also try to do some policy work. The quarantine has afforded birds a chance to recolonize areas that were previously threatening or too crowded. People who are at home have also started to spend time in their gardens and have begun noticing the birds around them. So yung may mga backyards dyan, tumitingin sa labas, may mga naririnig na bago kasi nasa bahay lang sila. Tsaka may nakikitang mga dati nandun naman pero nakikita na nila ngayon. No? I think we can take advantage of this opportunity. Ang mga tao ay mas nakikilala ang kapaligiran nila habang nasa bahay. Kaya iimbitahin natin sila para kilalanin kung anong kanilang mga nakikita. Ang dami na nag-aakala na wala naman silang makikita sa labas, lalo na ang mga nakatira sa syudad. Pero sa totoo lang, lalo na ngayong quarantine, maraming naglapitan na bago ng mga tao, ng mga birds, no, na dati hindi naman lumalapit sa syudad. Pero kahit nung bago mag-quarantine, katulad ng puno lang ng mangga sa tabi ng bintana ko, meron diyang endemic species, my Philippine pygmy woodpecker. From birds to plants to opportunities for birding and joining other birders during the pandemic, ang mga miyembro ng Wild Bird Club of the Philippines ay sasali ngayon sa Stories for a Better Normal. Pandemic and Climate Pathways is the subtitle of our show. This is also a preview to a bird festival happening this Saturday that Gina will talk about later. Our guests for today include the president of the Wild Bird Club of the Philippines, Mike Lu, and its officers and executive committee. We have Gina Mapua, who will talk to us about plant attracting birds. We have Jelaine Gan, who will do birding basics. We have Cristina Cinco, who will do education and art for nature awareness. We also have Bayani Barcenas, who will talk about urban birds. So I think we can get this discussion on its wings by starting with Deputy Speaker will be joining us in a bit. No? We just were asked to start this program so that we can be on time. So currently we are already streaming on Facebook Live. So yung mga gusto pong magtanong sa mga resource persons natin ngayon, i-post nyo lang bilang comment at babasahin yan pagkatapos ng resource speakers natin. Lalo na dun sa mga gustong magsimula na mag-birding. Hindi masyadong, wala masyadong pangangailangan para magsimula, lalo na sa anumang gastusin. Titingin ka lang sa labas. Kaya ay nanyayahan namin lahat ng nanonood kung gusto nyong mas maging in touch sa inyong kapaligiran, manood tayo at makinig at magsimulang tumingin sa labas. No? Simulan natin sa isang batang-batang biologist, bagong tapos lang sa kanyang masteral course, biology instructor sa UP Diliman. Her thesis involved a live webcam on a nesting raptor. So yung buong publiko po titingin lang sa internet, makikita yung nest ng isang malaking ibon. No? She will get us started with birding basics so all of us can begin to appreciate our feathered creatures all around us. Jelaine, imbitahin mo na silang lahat na mag-birding.
And good morning po sa inyong lahat. Ayan, so ngayon mag-share po ako sa aking experiences sa birdwatching at sana po maanyayahan ko po kayong lahat na lumabas, tumingin at makinig ng mga ibon. And mag-start na po ako ng aking presentation, ma'am, Lipat. Alright, so baka first time yung marinig ngayon ang term na birdwatching. Ano daw? Ano daw yung birdwatching? So ngayon, mapapakilala kayo sa konseptong ito At unahin natin yung next slide. And ako ay isang birdwatcher. Ang isang birdwatcher, kadalasan makikita mo ganito ang itsura. Meron siyang dalang isang binoculars or larga vista at meron siyang notebook o kaya mga libro na tumutulong sa kanyang tumingin at mag-record ng mga species. So, nagsimula akong maging birdwatcher nung ako ay mga third year high school. At mula noon, hindi na po ako pinakawalan ng mga ibon. At kahit po mismong thesis ko, undergraduate ko, pati masters ko, ay tungkol na rin sa ibon. And next. Kapag nakakita kayo ng birdwatcher, ganito yung madalas yung makikita. So, kunyari kapag pumunta kayo sa UP Diliman o kaya pumunta kayo sa mga urban parks, may makikita kayo na ilang tao o isang grupo kung saan lahat sila may tinitingnan. Lahat sila may dalang mga binoculars at nakasuot kadalasan ng kulay green, meron pang mga cameo hat at iba't ibang malalaking camera. So dahil dun sa itsura ng mga birdwatchers, marami actually nagtatanong, sino ba tong mga grupo na to? Meron pa nga akong mga experiences kung saan akala ng mga tao ay ako isang pulis o kaya naman ako isang spiya. At yung iba naman akala nila nandun ako para bilhin ang mga lupa nila. Pero hindi po yun totoo dahil ang interest lang po namin, kaya kami lumalabas at tumitingin ay ang mga ibon. Next slide. So, ang bird watching mula sa salitang bird at saka watching ay basically ang pagtitingin o pag-oobserba ng mga ibong malaya o wild birds sa kanilang natural na habitat. So tulad na lang nitong nasa picture na isang lagoon o kaya wetland area o kaya dito sa isa pang picture kung saan pupunta ka sa mga gubat. Ang importanteng keyword dito sa birdwatching ay yung terminong wild saka natural. Kaya hindi ka makakita ng birdwatcher na pupunta ng zoo o kaya ng mga aviary dahil hindi yun yung gusto namin. Gusto namin makita ang mga ibon sa kanilang buong kagandahan habang sila ay nasa kanilang kalikasan. Next. Ngunit, bago kayo umalis at magsabi na, hindi naman ako makakalabas dahil MECQ. Huwag kayong mag-alala dahil kahit dito sa syudad, kahit na nandito ako sa Valenzuela City, ay meron pa rin akong pwedeng gawing city birding o kaya tinatawag nating backyard birding. So ipapakita ko po sa inyo, konting virtual tour lang sa aking area. Yung nasa itaas po, ito po yung aking mini garden. So alam ko marami sa atin nag-start na mag-gardening. And then doon naman po sa baba ay yung malapit lang po sa amin na walking distance na city park. So ito yung aming pook. Kahit dito sa mga maliliit na lugar na to, ngayong quarantine, marami na akong nakitang iba't ibang uri ng mga ibon. I-share ko yung nasa taas, no? So yung backyard namin, maliit lang yan eh. Konting mga container na mga halaman o kaya container gardening lang. Pero habang nasa quarantine tayo, meron akong na-discovering isang pares ng pipit o kaya sunbird para silang mga hummingbirds na gumawa ng pugad sa labas lang ng aking bintana. At dito naman sa baba, yung sa urban park namin na malapit, nakita na rin ako ng mga yellow-vented bulbul. So hindi po to isang maya, hindi po lahat ng mga nakikita nating brown birds ay maya. Napakarami pong uri ng mga ibon na pwede nating makita kahit nandito lang tayo sa loob ng mga ating bakuran o kaya ng ating mga syudad. So, baka sabihin nyo, ang boring naman yan, manonood lang tayo ng ibon, tapos na, yun na yun. Dahil, ayan, so, para pakita sa inyo na hindi to boring, tingnan niyo tong picture na to. Sa tingin nyo ba madaling mag-birdwatching? Minsan, yung ibon na hinahanap ninyo ng sobrang tagal, nakatago sa likod ng mga dahon, nakatago sa taas ng mga puno, at kailangan natin ngayon gamitin ang ating mga tainga. So hindi lang birdwatching na gamit lang ang mga mata, kundi kailangan din nating matutong makinig. Tumahimik at makinig sa kapaligiran natin. Next slide. Tulad na lang nito. So, hindi siya obvious, diba? Kapag tinignan ninyo tong habitat na to, tong ground na to, hindi mo alam na aakalain na may ibon dyan. Pero yan, nakita natin na may red circle na yan ay isang ibon na tinatawag naming wagtail. Kung narinig nyo kanina, merong yan, tunog. Yun ang nagbibigay sa atin ng signal na may ibon dyan sa lugar na yan. Next. So, bakit ba ibon? I mean, ang marami pwede nating tingnan. Bakit hindi halaman? Bakit hindi insekto? Bakit ibon? Una-una, napakadali nilang makita dahil sila ay makukulay. Tulad na lang nitong oriole o kiyaw na tinatawag ng maraming tao na mga lumilipad na mga mangga. Tingnan mo naman yung kulay niya, di ba? Very, very bright yellow. O kaya itong mga kingfisher. Di ba may kingfisher tayo kahit dito sa loob ng city? Akala natin nandun lang sila sa mga malalayong lugar at mga urban, rural areas. Pero meron din tayo dito. At kung kayo ay atenista, ito siguro yung inyong bird icon dahil naka-blue at naka-puti siyang kulay. Next. Ayan, so dito naman sa slide na to, makikita natin na sobrang raming ibon, iba't ibang uri, iba't ibang kulay, na kahit lahat ng kulay sa baghari ay representado nitong mga ibon na to. Kung ano yung favorite color mo, for sure merong ibon na merong kulay na yon. Lahat pala ito ay nakikita sa Pilipinas, ha? So yung Pilipinas kasi sobrang dami nating iba't ibang uri ng ibon at ito ay dahil mataas ang ating biodiversity. Yan, sabi ko kanina, kailangan nating makinig. Ang mga ibon ay napakaganda rin dahil sila ay napakagaling nilang umawit. And yung narinig niyo po kanina ay kiyaw. Yul! Ganon. Sinubukan ko lang pong gayahin, pero yun po yung tunog niya. At ayun naman po ay ang kingfisher o kaya yung salaksak. Iba't ibang ang tunog nila at kung naranasan nyo ng gumising sa umaga at magising ng mga ibon, ibang-iba talaga yung pakiramdam na ito. So itong mga ibon na to, ito pala yung mga nag-start sa akin sa birdwatching. Ito yung spark bird ko. Di ba alam niyo naman yung konsepto ng spark, di ba? Ito yung isang tao na kapag nakita mo, kahit hindi mo pa siya kilala, meron ka ng ibang baghani na nararamdaman. So tulad dito sa mga ibon, ang spark bird ay isang ibon na hindi mo pa sobrang kilala dahil first time mo palang makita. Pero iba na yung attraction mo sa kanya, meron na kaagad kayong connection. So sana mahanap ninyo yung spark bird ninyo dahil ito ang magsisimula sa inyo sa inyong journey para mahanap pa ang iba't ibang uri ng ibon. Ayan. So ito naman, ibon na maliit na napakaganda ang tunog, ang jirigoni. Next slide. So maliban doon, nakakatuwa rin panoorin ang mga ibon, maliban sa kanilang ganda at sa ganda ng kanilang mga tunog. Tulad na lang nitong Philippine pygmy woodpecker or ang karpenterong maliit, nakakatuwa silang tingnan dahil lagi silang kumakatok. So kung ito yung sanga ng puno, lagi silang nakadikit doon at kumakatok-katok sa paghahanap nila ng pagkain. At ito namang isang ibon, ang Philippine hanging parrot or ang kolasisi, ay nakakatuwa rin dahil meron silang mga acrobatic display. Mahilig silang kumain ng nakabaliktad. O diba? Sobrang amazing na lang mga behaviors. At dahil sobrang inspired ako sa mga behaviors, ito na rin yung naging aking master's thesis. Next slide. Bibigyan ko lang po kayo ng pahapyaw kung ano po yung ginawa ko. Ito po ay isang video, isang time-lapse video mula gabi hanggang madaling araw ng isang araw ng isang Philippine hawk eagle. Sila po ay isang pamilya na nag-aalaga ng itlog sa panahon nitong video na to at makikita natin na yung tatay at yung nanay ay nag-i-incubate yung kanilang itlog. So sobrang saya po kahit na pinapanood lang namin sila mula dito sa bahay. Dahil meron po kaming webcam na nilagay doon sa malayong lugar para hindi po sila mag-istorbo. At kahit po sino, kapag pumunta po kayo sa YouTube ay makikita ninyo at ma-experience nyo na rin yung wildlife. Next slide. Yan. So ito po yung aming maliit na setup. So basically, naglagay lang po kami ng improvised na camera na wala pa pong 3,000 o 5,000 ang halaga. At iniwan lang po namin doon kahit ng quarantine. At nagbibigay po siya sa amin ng mga bird behavior recording. Next slide. Yan. So, maliban dun sa ganda, sa physical na itsura ng mga ibon, para sa akin, ang birdwatching ay isang emotional at spiritual activity. Ito ang paraan ko para kumonekta ulit at bumalik sa kalikasan. Lalo na sa akin na wala akong probinsya, tapos lumaki lang ako sa Valenzuela City. So, hindi ko talaga naranasan kung ano yung buhay sa probinsya, buhay na katabi ang gubat, ang kalikasan. Kaya ito po yung naging paraan ko para malaman ang ganda at magkaroon ng connection with nature. Napaka-importante po nito dahil tinutulungan niya po ako sa physical, emotional at spiritual na aking health o kalusugan. Next slide. Ang birdwatching rin ay hindi lamang isang hobby dahil ginagamit rin po namin siya para sa education o edukasyon. So dito po sa slide na to, dinadala ko po yung mga estudyante ko sa labas, maski bata, matanda, dinadala ko po sila sa urban park para ipakita po ang kahalagahan o importansya ng ating kalikasan sa pagbibigay importansya at pagbibigay ng appreciation sa ating mga ibon. At lastly, ang birdwatching rin po ay ginagamit natin para magkaroon ng conservation interest. So kapag po kasi yung mga birdwatcher, sa paglabas nila, nagkakaroon tayo ng emotional attachment dun sa habitat na yun at sa mga ibon na nakikita natin dun. Kaya hindi mo may iwasang malungkot kapag may gubat na naputol. At ito po ang isang paraan para mag-turn o para mag-convert tayo ng mga tao na dati hindi naman sila nangangalaga ng kalikasan bilang i-turn po natin at convert silang maging environmental warriors or environmental defenders. So yun po, ang birdwatching, hindi lamang po siya isang hobby or recreational activity, pero ito rin po ang paraan natin para mag-raise ng appreciation at awareness para magprotekta ng mga ibon, pati na rin po ng general na environment. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Jelaine. Balita ko, ikaw ang isa sa pinakabatang miyembro, no? Teenager ka pa lang yata, member ka na ng Wild Bird Club of the Philippines. We already have on deck Deputy Speaker Lauren Legarda, who authored 7 environmental laws and has been in the forefront of legislation for environment. She's already on board and listening to all of us. Ma'am?
Hi, good morning, and welcome to Stories for a Better Normal. I was actually watching Jelaine, and it's so interesting. Did you mention spark birds, Jelaine?
Apa.
Yes, this is what is it? How do we simplify it? It signifies your lifelong interest in bird watching, di ba ganon? Oo. At saka binanggit mo yung mga litrato mo, close up at yung mga full shot ay sa Metro Manila, sa Valenzuela, right?
Apo, ay hindi po lahat sa Valenzuela, pero yung karamihan po doon ay makikita natin sa Valenzuela.
O, ilang taong ka na, Jelaine?
Ay, ngayon po, 24 na po.
Oh, nakakatuwa. So, ibig sabihin, when did you start your bird watching?
Nag-start po ako sa bird watching nung sumali po ako sa Wild Bird Club of the Philippines nung 3rd year high school po ako. So, mga 15 years old siguro. Ayan, mga isang dekada na pala. Oh my gosh.
Very good. Tama ka eh. Sabi mo, ang ganda nung sinabi mo kanina na ito'y, was it Ipat who said it, walang gastos. Ito'y libre. Ito'y regalo. It's a gift of life ng kalikasan. All we need to do is to use our sense of sight, our sense of hearing, which are God's gift to us. Kaya nakakatuwa na yan ay ginagawa mo, batang-bata ka, at bata o matanda, ay dapat talaga ma-appreciate para natin, lalo natin pangalagaan ang ating kalikasan na siyang naging bahay ng ating mga ibon. Masasabi ko na ako'y hindi man ako miyembro ng maski anong society or movement or association, pero bata pa ako, gaya mo, ay kasi lumaki ako sa Malabon at nung panahon yun, ang Malabon ay hindi pa syudad. At alam ni Ipat yan, ang aking mga kalaro ay kung hindi yung mga ibon, yung mga insekto, mga salagubang at pati na rin mga tutubing karayom at maraming mga insekto na hindi nakakasakit sa ating backyard garden, no matter how small, na nagbibigay sa atin ng buhay at I guess I was meditative as a child. And even when I was your age, nag-appreciate the nature. But tell us more. Ipat, perhaps you could introduce the other members and officers of the Wild Bird Club. Pero before I leave Jelaine, and I hope you stay with us, kwento mo naman sa mga millennials, sa mga kabataan gaya mo, ano yung practical tips kung gusto nila ngayong oras na ito ay tumingin sa labas. Kung tingin naman nila sa labas ay jeep at saka bus o kaya mga vendors o kaya ang polluted na mga waterways at polluted na mga kalsada natin, saan sila maghahanap ng ibon kung wala naman silang luxury of the open space na pinakita mo sa amin? Ayan, Jelaine.
So, kung ngayon po ay wala kayong malapit na bakuran o kaya ng mga urban park, siguro pwede po kayo magsimula sa internet muna. Dahil nga sabi natin, di ba, millennials naman tayo, marami tayong mga gadgets at marami tayong access. Marami na po tayong makikitang resources. Katulad na lang nitong webinar na ginagawa niyo po every week, di ba? So mula pa lang doon, marami na po tayong matutunan at kapag ready na po tayong lumabas, kapag okay na po yung pandemya, pwede na po nating puntahan yung mga malalapit nating mga urban green space tulad na lang po ng UP Diliman, tulad na lang po ng Quezon Memorial City Circle. Diba? Marami po tayong pwedeng tingnan at ang importante po dito, kasi minsan meron tayong misconception na wala namang ibon dyan sa bakuran ko eh. Pero kailangan lang talaga natin mag-take time para ma-appreciate at para to be in the present. So, for example, kapag lumabas ka ngayon sa iyong bakuran, iwan mo yung cellphone mo, iwan mo yung tablet mo, computer mo, internet mo, lahat yan, iwan mo sa loob ng bahay at be physically and mentally present in that area. Kailangan mo mag-disconnect at basta ma-experience mo yung na nasa kalikasan ka, yung tunog niya, very aware ka, yung bawat liit na movement, galaw ng ibon, ay makikita mo na rin. So, kailangan lang talaga natin maging present at sumubok na lumabas at mag-explore.
Maganda yung sinabi mo. Live in the present moment. Enjoy your time, enjoy the moment, and disconnect. Pero may magkasabi sa yung millennial, paano ko mag-disconnect? Kailangan ko naman ng cellphone ko para makuhanan ko ng video o ng letrato yung makikita kong ibon, hindi ba? Hindi naman bawal magdala ng cellphone. Hindi completely disconnect, di ba? Oo. Right?
Tapos ano rin pala, ang maganda rin palang panahon para mag-birdwatching ay tuwing umaga habang hindi pa busy yung mga streets. Tuwing umaga kasi yung mga ibon natin para silang kumakanta na parang isang concert. Ang tawag natin dyan ay dawn chorus. So kapag meron kayong bakuran, makinig kayo, tapos sabay-sabay kakanta yung mga ibon dun sa bakuran ninyo. At yung isa pang panahon, kapag hindi kayo early bird, alam naman natin na masarap matulog, lalo na kapag walang trabaho, ay sa hapon naman, sa late afternoon, kapag medyo padilim na, o mga 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, kapag hindi na masyadong mainit, lumalabas ulit yung mga ibon sa kanilang gumagawa ng mga kanilang activities.
Para tayong may connection, maski ngayon lang kita nakilala. Dahil sa sinabi mo, ipapakita ko sa iyo eksakto ng aking mga kinuha. Hindi man ako professional bird watcher, I don't label myself as anything. But everything that you said, I prepared on video kasi yun ang ginagawa ko pag ako'y stressed o pagod o maski na ako'y relaxed, I find within a day, kung kaya, mag-bird watch or kung wala akong mapanood, bird hearing. Diba?
Nice.
I'm not sure if bird listening is part of the bird watching group because I'm not part of his group, but I've long been interested in his group. So I would just like to play some audio. Ayan. Ayan. I'll share it with you.
Ang ganda naman ng backyard niya, ma'am.
Narinig nyo? Alam nyo kung ano yon?
No, can we play the whole video, please? Yeah. Can I ask my staff to follow the instructions? I hope they know. Thank you. Okay, that is in, oh, okay, that, we stop there first. We stop in the first video. I will explain. Oh, I don't think my staff is online. Maybe he's just like a robot. Ano, the first, can I just advise my staff to be mindful and to be in the present moment so that when we say we'll show a video, we can explain. Ayan. Para na akong, alam ko nag-aantay yung mga Wild Bird Club members. Ako muna ha, with Jelaine. Yung una, yan ay sa San Jose Antique. At parang wala akong nakitang ibon or kasi wala akong salamin ngayon, no? And the video I took was smoother than what came out. I don't know why, baka inedit yung stuff ko, naging choppy, pero maganda yan eh. 1 minute siya na gumagalaw na ganun. Pero pakikinig lang. Can you connect with that na maski hindi mo makita dahil wala akong telescope, binoculars, wala akong salamin but I wear glasses. So I just shot it and I just liked the sound of the birds. Would you consider that bird watching, Jelaine, o hindi?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, definitely. Kasi kapag minsan po talaga yung ibon hindi magpapakita. Kaya tayo, makikinig na lang tayo kung ano yung naririnig natin. Ma'am, yung dun pala sa video niya, ma'am, may narinig po kami yung mga Taylor bird. Yun po yung identification nung nasa call. So kahit nga po yung ganun lang, no, yung hindi po natin nakita tong ibon na to na napakaliit at mahilig kasi siya dun sa underbush. So mahirap po siyang makita. Pero kahit na narinig lang natin, iba pa rin yung naramdaman kong relaxation. At ang saya niya pong tingnan, ang ganda ng gubat, tapos may humuhuni ng mga ibon. Sobrang nakaka-relax po nung video na sinare ninyo ngayon.
Also, sa pakikinig lang ng mga tono ng ating mga ibon, ay ma-identify na ninyo ang klase ng ibon. So yung narinig nyo kanina sa San Jose Antique, alam ni Ipat yan, yan ay isang tumpok lang ng puno, kala nyo malaki, napakaliit, by the sea, and by a barangay road na maingay. Pero sa pinakita kong video, na-capture ko, siguro mga less than 1,000 square meters yan na forest, na yung dating artist na namatay na si Moscoso, ang siyang nagtanim ng puno at meron siyang, yun ang tahanan niya. At kinapture ko yung mga ibon sa kanyang mga natanim na puno. So it's soulful for me because it's an Antiqueño artist who was my dear friend, who has since passed on in 2007, but the trees that he inherited on the land and he planted are now host to the trees, to the biodiversity of Antique. Ayan. Ano yung mga narinig mo ulit? Ano yun, Jelaine?
Hindi po ako sure sa species, pero meron po kayong Taylor bird. So,
Taylor
tinatawag
bird.
po siyang Taylor bird kasi nag-weave siya, para siyang Taylor, tapos gumagawa siya ng nest na very, parang weaved nest.
Wow, hahanapin ko ngayon yun. Ipat kasama ka. Okay. Sige, thank you. I proceed with now the next.
Sorry.
Oh,
yung mga bird calls, may mga, sa New York, may mga birders na blind. They only go to listen to the bird calls and identify them from the call.
Correct. You found the word for me. You found the word for me, bird calls. Because for me, bird calls is enough to as my music. People wonder why I don't have television and I don't have radio. But for me, nature is my entertainment and nature is my music. Yeah, that's why I can connect with Jelaine. My next video, ha? Pasensya na kasi ito yung araw-araw na ginagawa ko in the midst of a 10-hour work, and Ipat knows that. I take time out to listen if I cannot see. Okay, the next video, please. I hope my staff is online. Okay, the next one, please. That parang more of insects yun, di ba? Wala masyadong ibon.
May
Okay.
sikada po, tsaka palaka. may palaka po
yes.
doon.
Sikada tsaka palaka. Tama ka. Mga alas 6 ng hapon yun eh, no?
Ganda.
Pero parang may
Okay.
Philippine kukal. May chiguk-chiguk eh.
Chibok-chibok. O sige. Yung sa Antique ay Taylor, ito naman chibok-chibok. O ito. Yan. Ito may visual ng ibon. O yan. Parang winter pero sa Pilipinas yan. Sa Batangas lang yan ha. Pero mukhang winter, di ba? O. Ay, ba't walang sound? Alam mo, maganda yung makuha ko eh. Yung staff ko lang, ewan ko bakit yan ang ginawa niya. Ang ganda-ganda ng kuha ko. Smooth na may audio. Okay. Ano kayang ibon yun? Yan, hindi ko makita.
Wala. Hindi ko super sure kasi medyo malayo po. Hindi ko po ata kaya. Ayoko muna magbigay ng ID, ma'am.
Okay, the next one, please.
Next presentation.
Do I still have video?
Yes, ma'am.
There. Ito.
Oh!
May sound ba yan?
No, wala siyang sound kasi that was taken during Holy Week at the height of the ECQ. Bakit nung panahong yun ng Abril ay mas maraming ibon at nawala na siya? Hindi ko na siya mahanap. Nung nawala na yung ECQ at nag-GCQ, nawala na sila. Sa Metro Manila yan. Ayan.
Yan po, ma'am, zebra dove po yung tawag o bato-bato. Tapos yung tunog niya po ay kurukutok, kurukutok. Ganun.
Yun. Inahanap ko nga siya eh. Parang wala na. Gusto yata niya mag-ECQ ulit. Hindi naman pwede.
Ayan. So baka lang po na-disturb. Nandyan lang po yan. Pero baka lang po, hindi na po masyadong bumababa dun sa area dahil may mga tao na. O kaya mas maingay na po kumpara dati. Pero ang cute niya po, di ba?
Oo, ang cute-cute. Anong pwedeng ilagay sa ating windowsill o sa garden o kung saan man may dumadaloy na ibon?
Ay, ma'am, iwan ko po yung tanong na yan para po kay Ma'am Gina dahil siya po yung mag-speak tungkol sa paano natin papapuntahin ng ibon sa ating mga bakuran.
Yan ang gusto ko. Sige, Ipat, since you are with the Wild Bird Club and you know all our guests, I have them here in my list, but it would be best introduce our next expert panelist on birding,
yes,
bird watching, whichever you call it. Yes.
Yes. Birding, bird watching. Yani is the club secretary and works at the Bureau of Soils and Water Management at the Department of Agriculture. He's implementing a UNDP-GEF project on sustainable land management. So environmental din yung kanyang trabaho ng 8 to 5, no? He was also with the CCC pala in a previous program on resilience, preparedness, and inclusivity. Yani will talk to us today. He's the club secretary. He will talk to us today about urban birds. What are the normal birds we can expect to see kung titingin ka lang sa labas sa bahay mo sa Metro Manila or iba pang mga syudad sa Pilipinas? Yani?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Magandang umaga po.
Good morning.
Okay, Deputy Speaker, magandang umaga po. And I hope everyone is in great shape this morning. Yes, so after Jelaine's presentation, I guess pwede nating tawagan itong stay-at-home birdwatching. So birdwatching could be the perfect hobby to take up nitong lockdown. So if you are not already a bird watcher, you probably don't really notice birds, di ba? But they are around us all the time, kahit sa syudad. So with a little practice, you will be amazed of what you can see. So here we have a sample of the most common birds, urban or backyard birds that we have. So I have 8, and we can go to the first bird. Okay, so ayan, Eurasian tree sparrow, yung Maya sa lahat ito. We can also call this Mayang Bahay or Gurion in the Visayas. So the Eurasian tree sparrow is perhaps the most familiar bird sa lahat, ano? So they are very closely related to humans. We see them in densely populated areas. So nandyan sa bahay, sa mga kalsada, sa simbahan. That's why it's also called Mayang Simbahan. And then even in the office buildings, meron yan. So often described as a brown bird. Pag titignan nyo mabuti, yung kanyang forehead, yung kanyang crown, at yung kanyang nape ay chestnut brown. And it has a white cheek with a prominent black spot. Tapos black din yung kanyang throat, no? So this is a very highly adaptable bird, no? They nest in the house eaves and gutters. Tapos often they can be seen around, pag napapansin nyo, mga outdoor eateries, no? Naghihintay lang sila. So they are eating fallen rice or mga other leftovers. So yeah, this is I guess one of the very most common bird in the city and in your backyard. So you won't miss this. Tapos yung kanyang chirping ay mabilis. Tapos may rapid chatter ito. So lalo na pag marami sila. So usually you see this in a small flock in the city. Tapos interestingly, even they go inside the mall, as in they go inside the malls and even inside the supermarket, ganyan sila ka-adaptable. So that's the Eurasian tree sparrow or Maya. Next, we have yes, this one is the yellow-vented bulbul. Okay, I know this is often greeted with giggles by Filipinos, no? Pero bulbul is derived from a Persian term for songbird, maybe a nightingale. So yan, the local
Wait,
nickname.
bulbul is nightingale. Is it interchangeably used? No.
No, because nightingale also is a broad family of or species. Deputy Speaker.
I see. So nightingale is not bulbul, no.
Not all, yes. So in other
Okay.
countries, meron pong reference ng bulbul to nightingale. Okay. So yeah, so we have ang local name niya, yung kulkul, pirok-pirok in the Visayas. This is taken also from its noisy gurgling call. Yeah, and so again, this we call this for short the YVB. It's very abundant and is often seen in gardens, moving around, maybe alone or in pairs or in small groups. So if you take a look at it, no, it has a white eyebrow, yun dito po, no, just above the eye. Tapos yung kanyang crown, minsan tinatayo niya yung feathers niya. So there's a little mohawk you can see. And its undertail coverts, yan po nakikita na just above the inside of the tail, what we call the vent, it is yellow. So hence it is yellow-vented bulbul. So this bird eats fruits, insects, and worms. Tapos yung kanyang song naman, medyo stream of squeaks and whistles. So medyo marami talaga yan sa garden natin. Yeah, this one, I'm sure you won't miss this because the olive-backed sunbird is most widespread among the 16 sunbirds in the Philippines. So this is a small bird, tapos often seen feeding on your flowers garden using its long and thin and curved bill. So maingay po ito, noisy and active, they fly very quickly and are most often mistaken as hummingbirds. But hummingbirds can only be found only in the Americas, no? So sunbirds po ang nasa Pilipinas. So you can see there at yung back, yung likod niya ay olive green, and then the underparts are lemon yellow. Now the male bird, as shown, meron siyang dark metallic purple throat which is absent in the female. So yun lang po ang una general impression ninyo if you will see this bird, if either male or female, is that metallic purple throat. Present po yan sa mga lalaki. So the sunbirds, they play important role in our ecosystems by pollinating the flowers when they sip the nectar. Ayan. So ang pangalan po niyan, in general po, pipit. No? So meron niyang, and then it's also tamsi in the Visayas region. Okay, next please. This one was the one in the video shown earlier. This is a small ground dove. Ito yung zebra dove, no? It's just a small ground dove with long tail. And again, this is one of the common birds in the urban areas. And this is named because of that black and white stripes on its upper parts and sides. And then you can also notice meron po siyang bluish gray face. No, so it can be seen feeding on the ground, on the sidewalks, as you have seen earlier. Tapos lumilipad lang yan kapag napapalapit ka sa kanya or merong dumadaan na vehicle. Tapos pag wala na siya, hindi na siya disturbed, babalik siya doon sa ground. You can also see this bird on trees and perched on the wires. But most of the time, nasa ground po yan. So as what described earlier, its soft cooing can be heard in the mornings. Yan, maganda yung pakinggan. Pleasant, vibrating kurukukutuk, no? Given repeatedly. So ito yung zebra dove. Okay. Next, please. All right, this one is a Philippine endemic, no? The Philippine pied fantail. So endemic means dito lang po makikita sa Pilipinas, wala na po sa ibang parte ng mundo. And pied in bird watching jargon means black and white. So very common bird in the residential areas and parks. So very showy and energetic flycatcher po ito. So it constantly moves around trees and rooftops, and this can be heard singing its melodious metallic call, no, while fanning its tail. So makikita nyo dyan, nakataas po yung kanyang buntot and in a form of a fan, hence the name fantail. There's a note that this is a very aggressive bird and has been observed to attack cats and dogs. And sometimes, in my personal experience, even people, no, especially during the nesting season. So pag na medyo napalapit kayo sa nest ng Philippine pied fantail, yan medyo aggressive siya. Kailangan niyang i-protect yung kanyang nest. Okay. Then we have the colored kingfisher. This was also shown earlier. And this is the most conspicuous kingfisher in the Philippines. Marami tayong kingfishers, but ito yung makikita natin in urban areas and even our backyards. Kita nyo yung bright turquoise blue upper parts, and then yung white breast niya at saka yung heavy black bill. Makes it very noticeable. Yan. So, i-add nyo yung call niya kanina na very loud, yung kakakakakakak na sunod-sunod, you will never miss this bird pag nagtatawag ito, pag nasa garden niya. So, although this is mostly associated in the, or with water, it can also be seen in parks where it eats not only fish, but pero palaka, tapos butike, at saka yung mga large insects. So that's your colored kingfisher. This one, you're also familiar with this, the black-naped oriole. Yeah, so this is relatively medium to large bird, mas malaki doon sa dove, pero mas maliit sa crow. And then it has a very distinctive bright yellow and black plumage. And you have that, you can see the pinkish bill. So it announces its presence with a loud whistling call. Yung kanina sa audio na may piyaw. You know, it sounds funny when I, but
is it
that's
possible
the
for
call.
you? Yes, is it possible for us to have the kinds of birds on video, pictures, video, and sound, so it's more identifiable by the non-bird watchers. Because kayo mga nag-aral na dyan, alam nyo, is it possible to do,
Yes.
let's say, the bulbul? So we have a
Yes.
video of the bulbul, and then where it is usually found, let's say, Metro Manila, as you said, by the sidewalk. Tapos, ano ang dapat hindi gagawin para wag sila mawala sa sidewalk? Yung ganun. Maybe for a project of the Wild Bird Club or even my office, IPAT. So all of this, my question is, Bayani, are these photos that you took in Metro Manila, did you state what place? Is it in your backyard? Because it's very professionally taken photos. I'd like to know, just like what I shot, I identified it. This is in my
Yes.
backyard in San Jose, Antique. This was taken in a tree in Batangas. So
Yeah,
siguro
okay.
maganda identify para yung mga taong taga doon mag-relate at alam nilang meron pa pala, alagaan natin. Paano aalagaan? Wag tayo ganito, wag ganyan, yun, di ba? So the visuals, the sound, the audio, the identification of how to propagate them and how not to alienate them, di ba? Tama?
That's right. Yes. So
Okay,
for
ipat may
example,
baka homework. O sige. Okay.
yes, we
So,
can do that.
were these taken by you? Are these all your photos?
No, but yeah, by members of the Wild Bird Club. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, for
It would
example, this one
also,
was
may I also suggest to put authorship of the photos, di ba? Maganda, let's say, taken by Bayani, taken by Jelaine in Valenzuela, taken by Ipat in Taal, taken by
Mhm.
Lauren in barangay ganito in Antique, tama, di ba?
Yes.
Para ma-identify, uy, meron pa pala. Tapos maganda
Mhm.
i-date natin. Kamukha yung aking bato-bato, nakita ko nung Abril. Wala na siya
Mhm.
ngayon. So alamin
Mhm.
bakit nawala? Kasi bumalik ang construction. Kasi nag-lift ng ECQ, matraffic na, polluted na ang Metro Manila. Parang ganun lang.
Yes.
I don't know if this is the way of the Bird Club, but these are the things I would like to do. And perhaps as a special project, my office can do EPAT for biodiversity. That's part of my biodiversity database that I mandated all the state universities and colleges to do. So perhaps what I'm saying is a possible project of the Bird Club, but if not, I will mandate IPAT, all the SUCs and even the DepEd in our PA talk, protected areas talk, all the BMB should do this. Not just static pictures you can pick up from a book, but when you hear the sound and see them move and identify the ecosystem where they are, we will own it more and protect it more. Okay, continue, Bayani.
Yeah. Okay.
Ma'am,
Thank you,
pwede
Deputy.
magkaroon tayo ng app.
Okay. So the last one.
Yes. Yes, sorry, you're correct. If there could be an app,
Mhm.
I don't
For
know,
local
app to
birds.
identify or app to shoot. You think about that. You develop that. Okay, we listen to Bayani. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And the last bird. Next slide, please. Yes, this is the colasisi or the Philippine hanging parrot. Yeah, so this one is very, very common when you have fruiting trees. And this one was taken from Quezon City, somewhere in Quezon City. So that's a pretty little parrot. And that's also a Philippine endemic. So a small cheerful parrot. Nandito lang na po nakikita yan sa atin. So it is found in gardens and parks, feeding on flowers and fruits of fruiting trees like rambutan. Ngayon, namumunga na yung rambutan. So this one was taken by Adri Constantino, and they have really good footage of that colasisi, a pair of colasisi feeding on ripening rambutan. So it gives a sharp twittering call while perched and in flight. So mabilis din po ang lipad nito. But once naka-perch po yan, you can see napakagandang ibon. So this is the colasisi or kusi. So unfortunately,
Saan kinuha to? Anong probinsya kinuha to?
for this specifically, this photo is from Bukidnon.
Bukidnon, okay.
Yeah, Bukidnon,
Sige.
yes.
Kasi importante rin malaman natin saan kinuha. Kasi kanina si Jelaine, pinakita niya Valenzuela, Metro Manila, etc.
Yes.
Para din ma-identify ng mga tao. Sige. Okay, that's why,
Okay.
okay. And then video would be so important because I think while the visual is colorful, but even listening to the bird calls is very soothing.
Yes. Okay, yes.
Okay.
We can do
Continue, but
that.
the
Okay.
pictures are very nice.
Yeah. Thank you. So, last words for the kulasisi. Unfortunately, this is a victim of illegal pet trade. So it is often caught, tapos nilalagay sa small baskets and sold in churches and markets if you have noticed. So please do not buy from bird sellers. So let's keep them wild. So for everybody's enjoyment.
So, okay,
yeah.
on that, lahat ng uri ng birds ay bawal, hindi? Meron naman allowed sa mga bird cages, right? No. Or totally ba bawal?
Hindi po bawal, regulated lang. Kailangan lang may
Regulated.
permit sa DNR kapag meron kang may possession ka ng any wildlife, no. Hindi pa natin na-determine mismo yung kumbaga common, madali namang padamihin like lovebirds. Madali lang kumuha ng permit niyan pero sana hindi na yan nire-regulate. But yung iba, lahat ng iba na pwedeng maging galing sa wild, kailangan ng permit sa DNR. Even lovebirds actually right now. Kailangan ng permit sa DNR if you're going to keep any.
Okay, perhaps we can have an art card at the end of this show of ano yung allowed lang para alam din natin. Because as mentioned by Bayani, may mga nagbebenta sa cages ng kulasisi for the innocent buyer na natutuwa, maganda yung kulay, bibili. So,
halos
how
lahat
do we
ng
know?
nagtitinda sa simbahan, bawal. Halos lahat ng nagtitinda na ganun, walang permit. So, anytime you buy a bird, you need to look at their certificate of wildlife registration. Dahil pag inuwi nyo yung bird at nahuli kayo ng DNR, kahit na anong klase pa yan, ay hihingan kayo ng wildlife transport permit, ng certificate of wildlife registration. At kung binibreed nyo naman, kailangan nyo ng farm permit. So marami pong permits. So ang pinaka-default niyan ay huwag bumili. Kung bibili man, kailangan may farm permit or certificate of wildlife registration. Madami pong klaseng permits. Pero lahat naman pwede, especially if you're helping propagate the endangered species. Lahat may regulation lang.
Okay. Sige. Thank you, Ipat. Bayani?
Yes, thank you, Deputy Speaker. That's it from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yes. Ipat, gusto ko mag-part 2, pero yung part 2, ayokong mga plain background tayo. Kailangan nasa labas, kaya magharap tayo ng portable Wi-Fi. Totoo, portable Wi-Fi for the Wild Bird Club in different destinations. Ha? Yan ang ating bucket list. Okay, to our next guest, Ipat.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, banggitin ko lang na nakikinig si Jose Imbang III, nasa Facebook siya, at sinasabi niya lahat ng mga local names ng mga sinabi ni Yani sa Kinaraya. So obviously people are seeing these birds, nakikita naman nila, at nakikinig rin pala ang Kalikwang National High School, at sabi natin kanina, magandang habang online ang mga klase, ay patingnan nila sa labas yung mga estudyante. This is part of citizen science. Pag may nakita sila at dati hindi nakikita doon, ilalagay nila yan sa records, malalaman natin na kasali na yon sa bagong range. No? So very, very helpful yan sa
Isama
science.
natin, correct, isama natin yan sa, wag puro libro na hard copy or even kung walang computer yung mga far-flung schools. Pwedeng tumingin lang, kamukha sa amin sa Antique. I invite the Wild Bird Club or the Bird Club after the pandemic to do bird watching. Na doon ka lang nagkakape doon sa aking bahay facing the sea, si Ipat, alam niyo yan, naku, lahat na ng bird calls, it's so magical. And lalo na magpunta ka sa aming mga protected area sa Sibalom at saka sa North Panay. But anyway, we proceed, Ipat, with the next, but I'll just read the Facebook messages later. We proceed with our next guest. I think we have Gina Mapua, who's an expert based in Batangas, right, Ipat? Are you online, Ipat? I lost you.
Yes, I think it's Mike Lu who is next. Tama ba?
Okay, Mike Lu,
Mike
introduce.
Lu, I met Mike Lu over 2 decades ago, and he and a number of people started the Bird Club. No? He's a businessman, and siya yung nag-propel ng Wild Bird Club sa unmistakable spot nito sa Philippine birding history, and made the WBCP the premier bird club of the Philippines. He has also jump-started the Asian Bird Fair. All over Asia, nagkakaroon ng annual Asian Bird Fair, which he and others started in Davao 11 years ago. So yearly that is looked forward to by birders all around Asia. It's also the 13th bird fair of the Philippine Bird Fair. Mike will tell us all about the places near urban areas where you can bird watch. Mike?
Good morning.
Hello, good morning. Mike Lu.
Ma'am, do you still remember me?
Yes, I think, was it in Palawan? Nagkilala tayo sa Puerto Princesa or nag-usap tayo?
Yes.
The times that I've seen you, I always tell you, gusto ko maging miyembro ng Wild Bird Club hanggang hindi na ako naka-file ng application, hindi ako naka-birdwatching kasama nyo, pero ako yung nag-birdwatching mag-isa palagi. Okay? So,
Nag-birdwatching pala tayo sa Palawan, di ba? Remember?
Yeah, we did birdwatching.
With the restaurant, I showed you the birds by the sea.
Yes, in Puerto Princesa, yes.
Yeah, with Secretary Durano at the time.
Correct. And then did I see you in Pampanga, in near Candaba? Then we wanted to do bird watching in Candaba, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I remember.
Yes, proceed
So I'll
with
be
your
talking
presentation.
about urban. Yeah, I'll be talking about urban destinations. First slide, please. Yeah. Probably you'll be surprised why I chose this picture. It's a picture of the American cemetery with a lot of buildings, but you'll know why. The next slide, please. Metro Manila. When we think of Metro Manila, we don't think that there are birds there because it's so congested. There are very few open parks. Like this picture, which I took from the airplane. Madaming greenery, pero it's all in private subdivisions. This is Makati, which surrounds the Makati skyline. But beyond that, downtown Manila and other parts, halos walang greenery except for Rizal Park, UP, or the cemeteries, which is where we also go bird watching. Next slide. And we don't notice the birds because most of them are not attractive. Common is the Eurasian tree sparrow or Maya, and the other picture is a Pacific swallow. Ang reason here is that most of the colorful birds hinuhuli kasi ng mga tao. So the ones that thrive, that survive, are the drab-looking birds in the city. Next slide. So I live downtown Manila, in Santa Cruz. Sa harap ng bahay ko, I started a place, especially during the quarantine. I saw at least 10 species of birds. But sometimes when I cannot go far away, I'll go to beside the Pasig River during migration season. If you look at this picture, this is the skyline of Binondo. Next slide, please. Okay. From Intramuros looking towards Binondo during migration season, this is what you'll see on the lines above the Pasig River. There are a lot of birds perched there. Next slide. So if you look closer, there are like hundreds and even sometimes thousands of these tiny white birds perched on the line. If you're not a bird watcher, hindi mo siya mapapansin. Akala mo mga puti lang yung mga lines. Pero mga ibon lahat yan. Next slide. And this is the close-up. These are called whiskered terns. Sometimes may mga seagulls pa which perch there. And naaliw ako kasi people just pass by, no one notices. So, feeling ko parang I have a third eye na kami lang mga bird watchers nakakakita nitong mga ibon. Next slide. Another site near my place is cemetery. The cemetery was established more than 100 years ago. So all the there are you have a church, and since the birds thrive. There's a lot of birds that you can just go bird watching in the Chinese cemetery. Bird perch on a fruiting alagaw. The birds feed on the pollen of the flower. So if you know the plants, you also know which plants attract which species of birds. Next slide. These two photos were taken last January. There's a very common yellow-vented bulbul on the right. And yung isa, the colorful one, is called the blue-tailed bee-eater. Surprised to see a bee-eater in the city, but apparently they're there. These birds are stinging insects, so bees or wasps. So nagulat ako na meron dito sa downtown Manila, so near where I live, because I usually am out in the rice fields. Next slide. Another site which is easily accessible is the Cultural Center waterfront. From where you look towards the Manila Yacht Club, there's a lot of weekend fishers there. It also next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah, okay. Because it's beside the water, there are weekend fishermen. Sometimes these fishermen will throw away the smaller catch. And these birds are quite opportunistic, so they'll feed on the small fish na hindi kinukuha ng mga fisher folks. So, ng mga weekend hobbies. So, you have little heron and the night heron. Next slide. One of my favorite spots is the Las Piñas Parañaque Wetland Park. We discovered this place quite accidentally because when we were starting the club, we were birding in the reclamation area where the Mall of Asia is now standing. It's a big, huge grasslands. And when they started construction, we moved further down to the coastal, to Tambo, where now Okada is being built, which is now occupied by Okada Casino. And then we moved further down to the coastal road, and we noticed big islander, and we were just birding by the highway. And a daming ibon because you have mangroves. So we started monitoring the site. Next slide. Yeah, so you see, while we are bird watching, we see Okada Casino and other buildings behind. It's a very surreal scene. Maraming ibon pero nandyan lang yung mga buildings. Whenever we take people there, nagugulat sila na meron pang beach doon at madaming ibon because we never associate na madaming ibon sa Manila. Next slide. See, even this scene, like little egret and whimbrels, parang I'm sure a lot of people have never even seen whimbrels before. Kaya when I see these birds, I get so excited na I'm just watching Nat Geo or other environmental shows. Next.
Mike, do you have video of all of this? Meron ka bang video nito? Kamukha yung sa may Mall of Asia? Because these are beautiful photos. If you took video and we can hear the sound, that could be beautiful. Even if the sound, maglalaban yung sound sa vehicles, pero may mga ibon din.
Wala ibo eh. But your TV crew for your other show, and we featured Las Piñas Parañaque wetland side, and they will tell you how difficult it is to get footage kasi.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what I do on my phone, I just shoot it quietly as I am shooting. But anyway, this is ang ganda. Itong mangrove and lagoon, saan ito? Is this in Aklan?
No, this is in Las Piñas Parañaque, the wetland
nandito
park.
sa Las Piñas pa rin ito. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So you can go in. A lot of hidden. So next slide. And this is the starbird of the place, the endemic Philippine duck, the only place in Metro Manila where you can see Philippine ducks.
Wow.
This is a threatened species because people are hunting them for their meat.
So that's only found in the Las Piñas River?
I mean, it's found in the Philippines, but in Metro Manila, it's only found here in Las Piñas. Yes. So it's by virtue of the presence of birds plus critical other threatened species. The place was cleared as.
Okay, we're losing you, Mike. Is it my internet?
Yes.
Or?
My internet siguro.
Okay, proceed. Sa UP campus. Okay.
So UP campus, whenever we take people bird watching around UP, the common comment is, I studied here for 4 years. I never knew there were birds here.
Mm-hmm.
And if you notice, UP has a lot of big trees of different native species. That's why it attracts a lot of birds. Sometimes it even attracts forest birds. So it's always a surprise to bird around UP. For example, this tiny bird is called lowland white-eye. It's also an endemic species which is found only in the Philippines. Next slide. See on the left photo shows Balay Lamok, which is a very beautiful tree, flowers and during summertime. I think between in March and in April, and I always go there to take pictures of this beautiful tree. And there's other native trees. That's why you attract a wide diversity of birds in UP. The photo on the right side is a collared kingfisher. Okay. Now on Saturday we're having a Philippine Birdwatch festival, and we will talk more about these urban destinations. I'll just mention these places in passing. So Barangay Tagalag in Valenzuela, we were invited by the Chief of Staff of Mayor Gatchalian a week before the quarantine started. So next slide.
Excuse me, when you said that on Saturday you have a bird festival, I would assume this is virtual, not on site.
Yeah, that's why we call it the Philippine Birdwatch Festival. It's a whole day activity.
Great. After this, or maybe now, can you invite everybody how to join, how to access that on Facebook or virtually?
It will be on our Wild Bird Club fan page, and Gina, the last speaker, will tell us more about it because she's the festival person.
Okay.
So here in Barangay Tagalag in Valenzuela, we were surprised. Ang dami palang ibon doon. when you think of Valenzuela, my image of Valenzuela is it used to be an industrial zone, but because it's also beside the sea and where the river meets the sea, that's one of the best because you have freshwater and saltwater birds. So a lot of these birds can be found there. And the good thing Mayor Gatchalian is trying to promote ecotourism in their place. Next slide. Balanga Wetland Park in Bataan. This I'm very proud of this place because when we introduced bird watching and informed the mayor of Balanga Bataan at the time, they got so interested they declared one part of their mangrove area, which was supposed to be a boardwalk. They changed it into a nature. So the wild bird class was with them all the way. Next slide. And Balanga, the wetlands in Balanga actually host one of the largest concentrations of wetlands, not just in Manila Bay, but in the whole Philippines. So we've been counting birds there every January for more than 10 years already. Next slide. Baras Bird Sanctuary in Takurong in Sultan Kudarat. This is also a private initiative from an abandoned pepper farm surrounded by rice fields. The owner noticed there were egrets nesting in the pepper trees. I think it started with four pairs or less than that. And then 10 years after, next slide. Now their estimate is like 20,000 egrets and herons already. And now the city government has partnered with the owner and supporting this as an ecotourism site. They started their own bird festival to attract more people to visit their place. So this is a very successful private and public partnership ecotourism project. Next slide. This last site is the Zamboanga State College of Marine Science and Technology. When we were doing the bird festival in Zamboanga, the DOT director at that time said there are birds inside the school, and this place is right across Fort Pilar, which is a popular tourist attraction. So we just walked across inside the school. In 10 minutes, we found this place. It's a marine pond used by the students to raise crabs. Next slide. And we were surprised that there were so many birds nesting on the trees. And since it's a marine school, not of the birds, have prawns, shrimps, fish, but they never noticed the birds until we went in and we told them, wait, there are so many birds and these birds are nesting here. Next slide. Next slide, please.
Mike Choppy.
Yes, we're losing you. Ang ganda pa naman ng pictures.
So you can see that we saw this egret and pinamonitor namin the egrets are now nesting the whole year round. So it shows that they are very they have security in there and they have enough food. So they stayed. A lot of these egrets are migratory, but they're staying inside this school in Zamboanga. So these are the urban destinations that will be discussed more in detail during the bird festival on Saturday. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Very easy access to these places from the cities, no? Ang dali-daling puntahan, lakarin mo lang siguro mula dun sa ibang tirahan.
Kaya nga, importante itong ginagawa natin. We're making everybody more aware and conscious and protective of the birds around us. It also is good for our mindfulness, alertness, sabi nga ni Mike Lu kanina, yung maraming mga ibon na puti dun sa syudad, dun sa mga wire, maaring hindi marami nakakapansin, pero napapansin niya at mga Wild Bird Club. At maraming kamukha ninyo na hindi niyan membro ng mga organisasyon, pero very mindful sa mga kapaligiran. Kaya importante, i-encourage talaga natin ang lahat ng tao, pati na ang kabataan, na maging mindful sa mga ibon, sa pakikinig, at sa panunood. Okay. Proceed, Mike Lu. Then we have two more because it's 11:15. It's very interesting. And we encourage everybody to join virtually the Bird Festival on Saturday. Ipat will give me the details so that I can virtually join as well.
I think there's a
Ma'am,
question
that's
for
my
Mike
last.
Lu on whether these bird sanctuaries are private. How are they protected? Local government ba ang pinaka nagpo-protect dito sa city sanctuaries na ito? Are they private lands?
Yeah, yung urban yung mga minention ko outside of Manila, most of these are local government initiatives, so they're easily accessible to the general public. The other places I mentioned are just public spaces in Manila, so CCP, Chinese Cemetery, UP. So I'm not mentioning mga private subdivisions because you cannot just go in.
Pero pwede rin, no, sa mga private
Pwede
subdivision.
din kung may kakilala ka.
Okay, thank you, Mike. I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about when we read the Facebook comments, but can we have Tingay next? Tingay is in the food business, but has been birding and keeping bird records of the country with the club's records committee probably since the start. And Tingay has also started to do watercolors of the things she sees while birding. She has gone to Peacock, Davao, Underground River, Visayan Islands. Tingay, nakapunta ka na ba sa Panay, Antique?
Well, not yet. So I'm waiting for an invitation from Dep Speaker.
Okay,
I'm
we will
invited.
discuss birding and art and the use of art in appreciation of birds. Can we hear from Tingay and see her slide?
We'd like to see your slides, but before that, I invite all the guests in today's webinar to visit Antique when possible, and if not possible immediately because of the pandemic, we will do a virtual episode on the biodiversity, more importantly, the birds of Antique, with a bird club there and us here. We can do a special dedicated stories, a virtual one, exciting. Okay, very good. Ipat, you've been to the Sibalom Natural Park. I legislated also the North Panay. So we can start with that. And we can also do the birds in the 5 campuses of the University of Antique. So we can partner with UA. And then I will ask all the 18 LGUs, magpapagandahan sila ng mga letrato at video ng ibon. So magiging template natin ang Antique sa partnership sa SUC, sa yung cultural at tourism officers that we just had a webinar on training them on cultural mapping, and biodiversity database and mapping is part of cultural mapping. And so this will be part of their job, which is not a job because it's an enjoyable thing to do. So after this broad webinar on birds, we will do a dedicated LGU webinar so that the 80 other provinces can do the same. Correct? Yes, I am correct.
Great, ma'am.
So we
And
will
we have
do it.
many Panay endemics, mga birds na sa Panay Island lang makikita. And since Antique has a lot of wild areas left and it's protected areas north and south, siguradong marami yan sa Antique.
Very good.
So looking forward to that.
Very, very good. So we will do that virtual. First, we will finish and we will listen to all of them. Second, I hope to join you on Saturday. Third, para nag-meeting na tayo Ipat for our next, in the next few weeks, we will have the virtual district province bird stories, bird festival. Okay, very good. Tina,
So,
please.
Tingay?
Yes,
Jean,
please.
can you show Tingay slides?
Okay. Okay, hi. Okay. Well, aside from bird watching,
I started first as a watercolorist. It was, in fact, the wife of my watercolor teacher who introduced me into bird watching. Both of them are bird watchers. And Peter Sutcliffe, my teacher, was actually a landscape artist. So he was the one who influenced me into going into this thing, no? So we'd travel around the country and do some bird watching, and um at the same time uh take photographs. I am a studio artist, meaning I do it in the studio in my room, no, because it's utterly impossible to do bird watching and painting at the same time. You get distracted by both. Next slide, please.
Is my audio okay? Okay,
Yes.
so this is the Philippine magpie robin. Well, I placed it there because it's one of my most liked bird drawing. Just as a background, I've been painting in watercolor since 2006, but it's only in 2015 that I learned how to draw birds. It was magical. It was like poop. I attended a workshop by during the Japan Bird Fair. And instantly, it seems that, even if he was speaking in Japanese, I got it. I've been attempting this for the past. Next slide, please. Next
Next
slide,
slide,
please.
Jean.
Okay, the Philippine eagle. Let me tell you the story of this painting. I was off to Manila already after attending the Taipei International Bird Fest, and my host Judy O was facilitating. She was checking me in the airport when she was looking at my passport, and she said, "My gosh, your passport looks so good." And guess what was there? The Philippine eagle. That inspired me to do this painting of the Philippine eagle. Um, if you have to brag something abroad when attending bird festivals, it's the Philippine eagle. They don't have it. Okay, next slide, please. So I'm proud of this Walden's hornbill because maybe when Dep speaker will invite us, it's one of our motivations to go to Panay and look for the Walden's hornbill. It's really critically endangered, and well, it's close to being a myth because only a few people has seen this. Now I'm proud of the Luzon hornbill because I gifted this to my teacher in Japan. This illustration of the Luzon hornbill, and it seems that he liked it. Next slide, please. So these are some of the drawings and paintings that I
As you
did.
speak now, Christina, I'm asking the Penro of Antique where the Walden's hornbill, which is a Panay endemic, can still be
Yes.
found in
Okay.
which local government, municipality, or barangay. I hope that I'll make it on time the next few minutes of our webinar so that I can give you the
Great.
information. But let me just say that we will give away the mugs with a picture of the Walden's
Yes,
hornbill.
definitely. You should. Yeah.
While I can't show you
Because
any video or picture from Antique yet, I will give away for our Facebook viewers, EPAT, how many can we give mugs of the Walden's Hornbill? Okay, I'll announce that later for our Facebook
great.
viewers, whom I will read
Great.
later. Proceed, Christina. Thank you.
Okay. So these are some of my drawings and paintings of birds. Next slide, please. So I have this ambition of doing all the Philippine birds, but sadly I only have something like 30 maybe. So it's a long way to go because I couldn't catch up because now we have 709 birds. So at least here you can see I'm focusing more on the endemic birds. Next slide, please. Okay, depicting bird watching sites through landscapes. Though this is not in an urban area, but the most popular area I think outside of Metro Manila is Candaba. because every year you hear it as a site for migratory birds. And of course, when you have the avian flu or the bird flu, it's always Candaba. So this is my one of my paintings of Candaba with Mount Arayat on the background, and you can see a lot of migratory birds. Sadly, the migratory bird population in Pampanga is going down because they have filled the land, no, the marshes, and converted this into rice fields. Well, we can't fight food security over bird habitat, I guess. Next slide, please. Okay, now this is the maybe I have the privilege of seeing this beautiful mangrove forest in Navotas. It's just like Navotas. This is like a skip and a hop from Malabon. You pass through the um I forgot the name of the river. It's my senior moment. But we always board the boat from Malabon. And this is what you see at the end of the river. Um and this area is now being threatened, with the construction of the aerotropolis. So I hope this can be saved. Next slide, please.
You're correct, Christina, because when I was in the Senate and Senator Villar was seeking the protection, which we did in the INIPAS of the Las Piñas, um, what do you call it, IPAT, the official name in the
Las Piñas,
protected area,
Parañaque, critical habitat, ma'am.
the Las Piñas wetlands. Yeah. I also wanted to include the Navotas wetlands with its old mangrove forest, but the local government told me that there was already a plan for housing development before my proposal. That is the reason why I could not include it in the protected areas law. And so I am not certain how your photo of the old mangrove forest in Navotas, which is the next city beside Malabon, where I was born, but I have probably been there when I was young. My point is, it is supposedly as protected and beautiful as the Las Piñas habitat, critical habitat, but was not included because there were other plans, well, for practicality, to provide housing for the informal sectors. That was what Mayor Chanco had told me when I told him that we could have South and North Metro Manila included in the INIPAS para maayos. Pero sabi niya may mga plano na dahil sa dami ng informal settlers sa lugar na yon ay baka daw hindi makatugma sa mga plano ng syudad. Yun ang aking pagkaintindi. I'm not sure, Ipat, if there's another legislation that covers the protection of the old mangrove forest in Navotas. That's for you to check. Okay, let's proceed now. I'm excited about doing a webinar, a virtual bird watching in Antique because the Walden Hornbill from the Panay bird watchers, they say, can be found in Kulasi and in Mount Majaas. While we cannot go there physically, I am sure that the local bird watchers, because wala kaming COVID sa Antique, kung
Great.
meron man, ilan lang kasi nga where the mountains meet the sea. Kaya ang swerte talaga pag nandun. Hindi man tayo makapunta, mag-virtual tayo kung if the internet would allow. Okay, proceed now with your Angat watershed.
Okay, this is the Angat Forest watershed. We have, well, as bird watchers, probably we're very lucky that people who love the environment, like Manila Water, allowed us to enter despite the security issues to bird. And I'm from Angat, so I have to put it there. It's one of the birdiest area in probably Luzon because it's in the Sierra Madre Mountains. Next slide, please. Okay, this is in Iwahig Penal Colony. One of my my favorites is doing this is a century old tree where you can find lots of birds, and as you can see, behind it are the hillsides of Puerto Princesa. Next slide, please. So it qualifies as urban birding. Now, this is in Tibsok.
Tibso.
This is one of the Ramsar sites in the Philippines. It is the seventh, no? And it is a protected area. So depth, uh, depth speaker, don't lose hope. Maybe there's something for Navotas that we don't really know because like this area in Negros Occidental is being protected by the Ramsar Convention. It's
Yes.
109 kilometers long. So I'm still crossing my fingers on Navotas. It's one of my favorite places. And no offense to Senator Villar, it's more beautiful than the Las Piñas wetlands.
I heard,
Next.
I was told that's the reason why I spoke to the local government then, and they were reluctant because of the other plans for the needs of the informal settlers. So that's where we see the need for balance between protection of biodiversity and the growing population. We don't pass judgment, but we need to protect,
Yes.
but we also see the need for informal settlers' homes. Okay,
Like
let's
what?
proceed now.
Okay.
But I'm excited about Antique. Aside from all these beautiful paintings you have, okay,
I want
proceed.
to do one. I don't want to do one of Antique.
I will send you a photo
Okay.
of our mountains and our seas. I have lots of it that I shot myself or my
Okay.
staff in Antique shot. Oh, you might spend a whole year painting Antique because it's breathtaking. Okay,
But
proceed now.
okay, so this is the Tumagari. Okay. This is the Tumaga River in Pasonanca, and it's right smack in the middle of Zamboanga City. So this is also where you can find lots of birds, forest birds. It's still very pristine. And quite recently, they're so excited because after decades of looking for searching for the Philippine eagle, they found the family. So this is Pasonanca, no? But during this time when I took the photograph and did this landscape in my studio, it was El Nino. So you see, even weather elements actually contribute to the beauty of the place. Although sometimes it's really destructive. Next slide, please. Okay, after landscapes and birds, of course, I love doing my fellow bird watchers. So above is a painting of my fellow bird watchers doing a water bird count. See how serious they are. They don't really move for like hours just counting birds. And this is the one at the bottom is Jobs Joseph, no? He is that passionate in guiding ordinary citizens. This was in Ninoy Aquino Park, and he really teaches. No, we aim to teach the public about bird watching and nature appreciation. Next slide, please.
Just for those who are with us, baka hindi po nila alam, ang Ninoy Aquino Parks and Wildlife ay ang kaisa-isang protected areang deklarado sa ating INIPAS law na kasama po sa batas. Ito po ay isang protected area, hindi lamang parke. Ito po ay isang protected area na sinama po natin.
Okay, that's great. Okay, now we go into botanical arts. Um, After seeing the birds, after seeing the people, after enjoying the landscape, we have the flowers. And this is the bagawak, no? Which is a very showy shrub. I have this in my garden. And, it's a um, native plant. So please correct me if I'm wrong. Next slide, please.
Yes, it's Bagong
Okay.
Morado native.
So this is Tayabak, the jade vine. And of course, you have the molave. I never knew that molaves have beautiful flowers. We always talk about cherry blossoms and all this stuff, but we fail to appreciate, what we have. And these are the things also you see while bird watching. Next slide, please. Okay, the banaba. That's the banaba tree across my house. So even here in our village, you have native trees. And well, the tagpo or the ardisha was, I think, from the photograph of Hasmin, no? Photographs also inspire me. Next slide, please. Of course, you have they call it the flower of all flowers, the ilang ilang. And this Manilense, I hope somebody can help me find the local name. This was taken in Murcia, by the hot springs. Gina, remember when we did the ocular for the 11th Bird Festival? I took this photograph and translated it into a painting. And of course, the dap dap, no, which is very common in the mountains of Zambales and Bataan. So that's where I got a photograph. Next slide, please. Thank you very much. This
Thank
is
you.
one of our favorite birding sites. And it's in Tortugas, no, in Balangas City. So thank you, Dep speaker, for giving me the opportunity to show my paintings. It's like a solo one-man show on the web.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
And just for your information, since we are live on Facebook, everything, all the art cards and paintings and slides and video that we show are already public record. And so this will be reposted on my Facebook if you don't mind. So your paintings will be there. And second, as I told you, I will select the top 3, top 5 most beautiful photographs, but I have so many of my beautiful, mystical, magical, breathtaking home province of Antique. And I will be so happy if you could render some paintings on that. Okay, we thank you very much, Cristina. Ipat, we
Yes.
proceed with our next word, birder.
In the meantime, yes,
And can you turn off
in the
that?
meantime, ma'am, we have a lot of people who are from the University of Antique, from high schools in Iloilo and Antique. Maybe we can ask Tingay how she think if she has a message for DepEd on how to increase opportunities in the pandemic period for online bird education or art education using nature and birds.
Tama, tama, oo.
So, one thing maybe as an exercise here in the city.
Tingay nawawala. Please,
Okay,
it's choppy.
my
But
mic, my
anybody can
mic.
answer actually too.
Okay. Well,
Yan.
here in the city specifically, just look out your window. Probably you can sketch the Maya, no, that's perching there, or like the speaker said, the bato bato, and then probably draw the tree that's beside, your living room. And then I envy the people in the provinces because they have more landscapes to see. Take out your your oil pastels, take a cotton band and try to
Yeah.
maybe sketch for us what you've seen. And well, teachers can encourage their students to do this while in the pandemic. Um,
You're correct, Christina. First, they can shoot from their phone kung may capacity yung phone nila. Kung malabo at low-tech ang telepono, okay lang. Maski i-record lang yung audio, that's music to our ears. Pero kung may talento kamukha mo na mag-painting, bakit hindi? Watercolor, oil, pastel, maski na black and white,
Crayola will do.
maski na
Crayons.
Crayola, maski na pencil lang. O yun. Okay, proceed. Next. Ipat, the show is yours. The floor is
Sorry,
yours.
wait. Thanks. We now have Gina Mapua. She was president of the Wild Bird Club of the Philippines from 2014 to 2015. She's based in Nasugbu, where she does a lot of planting and bird watching. And she's very familiar with the kinds of plants that attract birds, butterflies, bees, and other
Good.
wildlife. So alam niya kung ano itatanim para ma-attract yung mga wildlife. No? She
Yun
has
ang
been an
importante
indefatigable
sa
organizer of the annual bird fair that has not stopped growing since 2005. And she will tell us about bird attracting plants and bird fairs so you can know more. Gina?
Hello, everybody. My goal here today is to show you how you can create a bird-friendly garden right there in the middle of the city.
Very good.
Can we have the slides, please?
Slides, Jean?
Okay, so paano natin ayusin ang garden natin sa syudad para magkaroon tayo ng mas maraming ibon, para yung mga ibon ay mas ma-attracted sa garden natin. Okay? So ito yung picture na ito, nasa garden ko ito, at yung ibon na yan is a Philippine magpie robin. Tinitingnan niya yung konti maliit na bird bath. And I will show you how to make, paano magkaroon ng bird bath na ideal para sa mga ibon. Okay, next slide please. So iisipin natin, anong pangangailangan? Next slide. Anong pangangailangan ng ibon? Ang pangangailangan ng ibon, kailangan nila ng isang lugar kung saan sila makakakain, makakahanap ng pagkain. Another place na kailangan nila is to roost. Ang roost, ibig sabihin, matulog sa gabi. And another place na kailangan nila is ang place na para magkaroon ng pugad, para makapag-breed sila. So itong tatlong places na ito, hindi pareho. Magkakaiba sila. Okay, so ang makokontrol natin is the first one, a place to feed. Saan sila makakain? Dahil ang to roost and to breed, kaya nilang hanapin naman yon. But feeding is a critical aspect that you can do. So, next slide please. Meron problema ang mga urban birds. Okay? Tingnan mo yung picture na yan. This is a Philippine pied fantail or Maria Capra at nakatungtong sa antena ng isang bahay, ng bubong sa bahay. Wala naman siyang makain dyan, wala kang makikita. So, ang mga apat actually, may naisip akong ika-apat. Ang apat na problema ng urban birds is loss of habitat. Madalas ang mga tao, pinuputol nila ang puno dahil madumi, nagkahulugan yung mga puno, mga prutas sa bubong at nagigising sila sa gabi, so naiinis sila sa mangga. But pag pinutol nyo yung mangga na yun dahil nainis ka, maraming ibon ang nawawala ng lugar na pinupugaran nila or kinakain nila yung mga insekto doon. So they lose their habitat. They also lose the food. Yung mga insekto na nasa mangga na yun nawala. Biglang nawala silang isang malaking restaurant. Tapos niyan, people also poison. May nilalagay silang rat poison. So yung mga daga, buhay pa pero may last pa na sa loob ng katawan, kakainin ng owl at mamamatay yung owl din. Mamamatay. Yan. At ang apat na problema ng urban birds is pusa. Ang mga pusa na pets na pinapagala ng mga tao, pumapatay ng ibon. In fact, may data na nakasabi na isa sa pinakamalakas na pumapatay sa mga urban birds ay pusa. So, importante na i-control nyo rin yung mga pusa nyo. Lagyan mo sila ng collar na may bell para malalaman ng ibon na may lumalapit na pusa. Next slide, please. Ang pinaka-importante na maidulot natin sa mga ibon in the city is tubig. Lalo na pag summer. Bihira din kasi ang sources ng tubig pag tag-init. Natutuyo lahat yung mga sources. So, kung lagyan mo lang ng isang maliit na bowl, kahit nasa 10th floor kayo ng building, bibisitahin nila yun. Kailangan nila ang tubig. Now, hindi nila kailangan ng isang malalim na batya. Kailangan nila ng mga bale 2 inches of water lamang dahil kailangan nilang maligo din eh. Importante sa maintenance ng health ng ibon na magkakaroon siya ng maliligo siya. Kailangan niyang i-moisten yung kanyang mga feathers. Doon niya maaayos yung kanyang mga feathers. So, 2 inches lang ng water ang kailangan ng karamihan ng mga ibon. Tapos, pumili kayo ng isang lagyanan na may rough ang bottom. Kasi mag-shake, nakikita nyo, nag-shake yung ibon, no? So, kailangan yung kanyang mga paa, may mahawak niyang steady, yung magaspang ang bottom para may foothold siya. Madalas kailangan linisin din at i-refill yung tubig na yan. Tapos, importante din, minsan may nagtatanong sa akin kung bakit walang lumalapit dahil nilalagay ko naman sa center, kitang-kita naman sa garden ko. Pero kung ilagay mo siya sa center ng garden mo, madalas makita ng predator yung water bowl na yan. May predator na nag-aabang. So mas maganda kung ilapit mo yung water bowl nyo sa tabi ng tabi ng puno para kung may biglang lumapit yung predator, pwede rin run to safety yung ibon, lumipad sa safety. So make sure na yung pagpapwesto mo ng bird bath mo is also malayo sa predators. Hindi malalapitan ng pusa, hindi pwedeng ma-ambush yung ibon ng pusa, at hindi pwedeng malalapitan ng ibang mga predators. So put it right next to a tree. Makikita mo, marami akong nilalagyan na bird bath. You can see all the 4 pictures of the bird bath, yung mga examples. At yung pinakamaganda na kind of bird bath is yung gawa sa palayok, yung material na gawa sa palayok. And make sure na it's only 2 inches of water. Next slide, please. Now, anong kinakain ng mga ibon? Makikita nyo sa picture na ito, isang close-up ng sunbird, olive-backed sunbird. Ito yung male. Malalaman mo dahil blue ang kanyang throat. Okay, makikita mo sa bill niya, yung kanyang nguso na mahaba at matulis. Ang ibig sabihin nito is that it is a nectar feeder. So normally, ang nguso ng ibon nakaka-indicate sa inyo kung ano ang kinakain ng ibon. So ang kinakain ng mga ibon is insekto, may kinakain din silang maliliit na fruits, may kumakain ng seeds, may nectar, minsan kumakain din sila ng mga liliit na animals kagaya ng mga uod, mga caterpillars, mga worms, mga minsan butiki, minsan mga maliliit na palaka din, or kumakain din sila ng isda. Yung mga may-ari ng mga fish ponds, madalas may makita kayo na kingfisher, kumakain ng goldfish. Okay? Tapos kumakain din sila ng mga invertebrates, yung mga uod, mga worms. Okay? So malalaman mo kung ano ang kinakain ng ibon kung masdan nyo yung nguso ng ibon na yan. It will give you an indication of what kind of food the bird will eat. Next slide. Ngayon, hindi kami nagre-recommend na maglalatag kayo ng pagkain para sa ibon, kundi gumawa kayo ng isang habitat na may makita silang pagkain sa garden nyo. So huwag kayong maglagay ng pagkain because there's a tendency to put food kagaya ng palay, at ang ibon na makakapag take advantage ng palay is the maya, yung Eurasian tree sparrow. Napaka-aggressive na ibon na ito. At if you try to feed the maya, ang mangyayari, nagbe-breed ang ibon na ito araw-araw all year round nagbe-breed siya. Madalas heavy breeder siya. So ang mangyayari, pakain ka ng pakain ng maya, ang mangyayari, you will have 100 mayas in your garden and wala nang ibang lalapit. So do not feed the mayas. They can take care of themselves. What is important is that you feed the other ones that are shy at hindi masyadong ka-aggressive kagaya ng maya. So anong gagawin nyo? Magtanim kayo ng mga tanim that feeds birds. So mga tanim na may small fruit kagaya ng balete. Magtanim din kayo ng mga bulaklak. In my next slide, I will have examples of the flowers and trees that you can plant para magkaroon tayo ng para maging bird-friendly yung ibon. Tapos kung may insekto kayo sa bahay nyo, huwag kayong gumamit ng pesticide. Pabayaan nyo. For example, meron akong isang puno dyan sa tabi ng window ko sa bahay dito. Inubos ng mga higad yung leaves. Talagang kalbong-kalbo yung puno na yan. At yung higad, malabuhok. So, hindi kinain ng mga ibon, of course, no? Pero, nung nagkaroon na siya ng naging larva na siya, naging pupa na siya, wala na siyang buhok, yun, kinain. I had never seen so many birds in that tree except ngayon dahil kinakain nila ngayon yung pupae. So don't use pesticides. Tiisin nyo lang ng konti na pumangit yung puno, pero rest assured, dadami yung ibon dahil naging smorgasbord yung puno na yan. Then also, consider letting sections of the garden or yung mga, kung may katabi kayong open lot, pabayaan nyo to let the wild plants grow. Hayaan nyo, because the birds will transfer the plants there, and then they will grow, and pretty soon you will have a little mini zoo. Okay? So next slide, please. And this is the last slide. Ito yung mga ibon. These are the possibilities that you can plant. Okay? Sa pinaka-upper left, this is called the Chinese hat plant. You will be able to see this. It's available in many gardens. And the birds that really drink from this is the sunbirds.
Nakikita ko yung bignay. Gina, is that bignay?
Yes, that's bignay in the center bottom.
Very good. At gumamela. Ano yung dalawang nasa taas? Ano yung pula na parang berry pero hindi naman siya rambutan?
Yes, this is a fig. It's a ficus species, balete. Kung magtanim kayo ng, yes, choose a balete that is small fruited, na maliliit na puno. Actually, I think
ano yung sa kaliwa, yung yellow na halaman?
Okay, this is what they call melon melonan. This is a wild passion fruit. This is a vine. And the birds just love this plant. So
okay, hindi ito yung regular na passion fruit because I have passion fruit or iba pa ito?
Yes, this is the wild one, very small fruit.
Iba pa.
So in short, sa ating mga Facebook viewers, madali lang po mag-attract ng mga ibon, ay maaring yan, may gumamela, bignay, wild passion fruit, at ano yung pula ulit, yung nasa taas?
Ficus, balete.
Balete. Okay, and many others. Okay, proceed.
Yung bottom right, actually pati kayo makikinabang because this is a baby, tiny little cucumber. Wild siya na cucumber at napakaliit. It's about maybe half an inch long lang siya, pero it tastes like cucumber and it's edible. Actually, all the...
Ayun, nakita yung picture na yon. Yan
yes.
Ay baby pepino. Okay.
Yes, baby pepino.
Okay.
Now, may tanong sa akin na saan kayo makakuha ng mga planting materials for these places, no? Ang number one advice ko is buksan nyo yung mata nyo. Nandyan lang yan. Madalas nandyan lang yan. Yung open your eyes and notice what the birds are eating or where the birds are going and look around. If you live in the neighborhood, look around. And if I see a plant that I like, I believe in the saying na ask and you shall receive. Kumakatok ako. And then I ask for plants. So later when the quarantine lifts, you might want to go see to the garden stores.
Since you're at it, Gina, I will interrupt and say, sa lahat ng Facebook viewers, namimigay po kami ng mga buto. I hope that the seeds that Ipat and I have been saving and been giving to the Climate Change Commission because we're all working from home are distributed. We will facilitate the administrative aspect of that. Second, we're giving away the protected areas book so that they would learn more about the protected areas, but we are also giving away seedlings. And so you're correct, ask and you shall receive. We give away Department of Agriculture starter kits for planting, but we will also be giving away seedlings. I can ask from the DNR. I have my own seedlings, which I propagate from the seeds that I save. And we will post all your information on our Facebook page so they can contact us through the Wild Bird Club or through my Facebook. Okay, and Ipat will take care of all of this. Proceed, please, Gina.
Another source also of seeds is if you go to Facebook and join the garden groups. Many of them share seeds with each other and they also give you advice about what to do and what to plant. Especially if you, for your area, anong bagay sa lugar nyo. Magbibigay sila ng advice. Marami kayong mag-join, maraming gardening groups sa Facebook. Another source ng pinakamagandang information is this website na tawag Stuart Exchange. STUARTX tapos change.com. Ang ganda-ganda ng kanyang mga advice dahil medicinal herbs ang kanya at karamihan ng mga medicinal herbs na binabanggit niya is actually damo, wild plants na mahahanap dito sa Pilipinas. So, you can create. Pwede kayong mag-create ng bird-friendly garden at pwede kayong gumawa ng ang garden na kaakit-akit para sa mga ibon. It can be done. Now, I was also told to talk about the bird fair, the bird tour festival. Ito
on
yung
Saturday.
Yes, it's on Saturday. It's on August 15, and from 9 o'clock to 4 p.m. Registration is now closed. Ang daming nag-register, hindi na kaya ng Zoom account. Pero pwede kayong manonood ng Bird 12 Festival na ito kung pumunta kayo sa Facebook page na ang tawag Wild Bird Club of the Philippines. Kung pumunta lang kayo sa Facebook page na yon, public page yon, Wild Bird Club of the Philippines, pwede kayong manood ng bird fair. Marami tayong mga sessions. Every hour may sessions tayo. So at 9 o'clock, magkakaroon tayo ng birding basics. At 10 o'clock, pag-uusapan yung mga destinations na mapupuntahan nyo para makapag-birding sa loob ng mga syudad. At 11 o'clock is children's hour. So meron tayong mga storytelling, meron tayong face painting, meron tayong drawing activities. From 12 to 2, magkaroon tayo ng videos at mga messages. At 2 o'clock, pag-uusapan natin yung mga urban centers naman na pwedeng matingnan yung ibon pero sa region, sa Hong Kong, sa Taiwan. At lastly, at 3 o'clock, pag-uusapan natin yung conservation ng mga flagship species. So, para sa mga seryoso, mga biologists, yung maganda is actually 3 o'clock.
Very good. Ang ganda. Yung schedule na yan ay i-post natin sa Facebook page ng Wild Bird Club, IPAT, at saka sa Climate Change Commission at sa aking Facebook page ng aking opisina. We will also send out invites. Maybe the Wild Bird Club can give us a standard invite for all the DepEd schools and the state universities and colleges para yung ginagawa nyong virtual bird festival ay maaring gamitin ng ating DepEd schools sa mga probinsya at distrito at mga SUCs, even private colleges and LGUs as a template for their own biodiversity mapping focusing on birds. Hindi ba? So we thank you very much for mentioning the Bird Festival and all of your photos and all the tips on making your backyard bird-friendly. So nakikita natin na hindi kailangan magbiyahe, hindi kailangan magara, hindi kailangan bumili ng maraming mahal na halaman. Kailangan lang, sabi ni Gina Mapua, ay tumingin ka lang, mindful na ang ating mga puno, halaman, at maliliit na nakikita mo sa kapaligiran ay maari palang pugad ng ating mga ibon. I will search out your photos of the ideal bird baths because honestly, I tried to do my own bird bath. Nabasag ko pa, ang ginamit ko, yung babasagin, nabasag ko dahil nung ako'y nagdidilig, nasagi ko. So, anyway, that was maganda yung mga tips mo. 2 inches of water, mulukong siya, tapos gawa sa clay pot. Alam mo, kami sa Antique, ang dami-daming clay potters. So, even sa Tagaytay, meron dyan mga gumagawa ng paso, mga wala nga silang mga hanap buhay ngayon. So, magandang bumili tayo, makakasuporta ba tayo sa mga micro-enterprises sa mga bird, para magawa ng mga bird bath? Yes, Gina?
Sa Tagaytay, actually, may gumagawa silang semento na tray na pang bonsai. May pinagawa ako, sinabi ko sa kanila, huwag yung lagyan ng butas.
Correct.
And
so
then I was
asked from IPAT, from you, yung gawang Tagaytay na example mo ng bird bath na pwede natin ipagawa sa iba't ibang mga micro-enterprises para may hanap buhay ngayon. Nakikita natin na sa walang gastos na hobby ay maari tayong mag-develop ng turismo na makakabenepisyo sa ating micro-enterprises. Sabi nga ng lahat ng ating panauhin ngayon, tumingin lang sa labas, maski sa syudad, ma-appreciate na natin ang ating ibon. Pag ma-appreciate natin ang ibon, protektahan natin. Pagpapakainin natin, ano ba naman bumili ng isang bird bath? Yung pagbili mo ng isang bird bath na gawa ng micro-enterprise sa Tagaytay o sa Antique o saan man, ay makakapakain na ng isang pamilya sa linggo na yon. Kaya walang katapusan ng ating pag-uusapan. Ako'y nagpapasalamat sa inyong lahat at babatiin ko ang ating mga Facebook watchers mula kanina. Alam mo ba, 2 hours na tayo, pero excited pa rin ako at sumasalubong na sa akin yung mga ibon ko. Alam mo ba, mga ibon ko pumapasok, nakabukas ang bahay ko, labas, pasok. Hindi ko lang mapakita yung mga litrato ko, pero yung video ko, di ba? Ipat, alam mo yan, di ba? Pinapadala ko kay Ipat yung mga pumapasok na ibon. So anyway, Maria Madeline, hi, Mark Badua, Hans Carmel, Lourdes Alcalabreva, Flor Lopez de Leon, Baby Edlin Zamora, Neil Ian, Woodpecker, meron din daw sa Marikina. Haha.
Yeah.
John Robert Rosal Marcela, Siti Zubaida Usman Murod, Nisider Aguirre Likok, good day Antique and beautiful Congresswoman. Aba, hindi po ako nagsabi niyan, siya po Just make Antique great and on the top of the world. Take care, be strong, be safe. Thank you po. Rizel Grave Seco Balagtas, Gian Adesas, they're all greeting good morning. They've been since in the morning. Nisider Aguirre Likok, shout from Washington. Aba, nasa Washington DC pala siya. Antoinette Acantilado, Romel Resurrection, regular viewer. De Guzman, Trish, good therapy daw ito. Totoo yan. Macken from Mandaluyong, Gemma Regino Pestano, Corpus, good morning. Aimee Evangelista, maganda umaga daw. Comments, Marian Nancy Jordan, Josie Ramos, Blanks o Biancs Magulyo, good morning Congresswoman, interesting topic, bird watching. I kind of miss going out and being one with nature. Your eyes can go out at pag backyard naman po ninyo, pwede kayong mag-go out. Pag may kaharap na ibang tao, mag-mask lang po kayo. Antolin Juanilio Cordero, good morning Deputy Speaker from Hamtik. Nako, sa aming local government, sa aming municipalities, ang dami pong mga ibon. Abigail Fiona Cruzada, I miss bird watching. I remember being able to watch a variety of birds in UP Diliman. Totoo po yan. I was there in the 70s, in between classes, habang nag-iikot jeep, ako po'y nanonood ng mga ibon. Also saw a kingfisher there. I hope you still have. Angel Jumawan, sana masustain ang pagbawal ng pagdala ng mga rifles used to shoot wildlife including birds. Kasi I observe dito po sa Misamis Occidental while traveling almost daily, may mga flocks ako nakikita na mga ibon flying above the highway. Common ang mga pigeons. Bawal dapat yung mga rifle. Yes, bawal po yan. Fritz Hermoso, Season, Ma'am Ipat, I love your new look. Aha, si Ipat nga napansin ko, umikli ang buhok, nawala. Sana tinago mo yung buhok mo at ginawa natin pugad ng ibon. Hindi, biro lang Ipat. Okay. Yes, you look good, but I miss the long hair, but we'll talk about that later. Pads Jocelyn Punay, good morning. Jose Gailan Eliaga, Clarito Imbang III. Marami po sa Antique, ul-ul, tawag sa amin. Ul-ul? Makabulbul? Ul-ul. O check natin, Sherry, paki-check yung ul-ul. Okay. And tiwis po tawag sa amin, yung olive-backed sunbird, makonsider na pollinator. I'm not sure who can answer that. Yung olive sunbird, is it a pollinator? We'll try to answer that on Facebook. I'm not a bird expert. Kuro-kuro po tawag sa kinaray. Yung aming yung zebra dove, ang tawag sa amin sa kinaray kuro-kuro. Sabi ni Jose Gailan Eliaga Clarito. At sabi niya, ang saya-saya po ang tawag sa kinaray sa Philippine pied fantail at territorial ito. How nice! He's teaching us the kinaray words at ano yung kanilang mga gusto. Okay. At salasakan ang kinaray ng kingfisher. So we will post the Facebook messages. He's translating in our language the kinaray words. Marian Nancy Jordan, I'm a fan of Senator Lawrence. Salamat po, I'm a fan of birds. Okay, areas of our viewers, Washington, D.C., Mandaluyong, Laguna, Iloilo, Ilocos Norte, Bulacan, Antique, and many more. Marami po dito sa Antique ang black-naped oriole. Very good. We will have a dedicated webinar on Antique birds and biodiversity. Jose Galian. Neneng Yvonne Bahan Abauretes, watching from the island born of fire, Camiguin, in northern Mindanao. Ay, ang ganda rin dyan. Sana we can do dedicated bird watching webinars. Maken, beautiful topic. Bird photography was one of my favorite hobbies during his stay in Saudi Aramco. Gigs Martinez, pwede bang mag-submit ng pictures? Yes, submit it on the on the Bird Club Facebook page or even mine ng pictures and wildlife taken for identification. Yes, we will help you. We can even include GPS location. Please do. Do you have such an app or Facebook? You can do that in the Bird Club Facebook. I'm sure you do have that kind of service where people can interactively share videos and pictures and you can help identify, right? The Bird Club? I
Yes,
would
ma'am.
assume. Okay,
Well, they
Ipa.
can post on the Wild Bird Club page, or if it's not a bird, there's also a Philippine Biodiversity Net. That's a group with scientists that identify species. But there's
Okay.
also the app called iNaturalist. Yan, worldwide naman yan. Maraming experts all over the world. Tapos pag post mo, mga few minutes lang, may sagot na kaagad yan. Napakabilis.
Ah,
It's called
naku,
iNaturalist.
tuturuan mo ako niyan, Ipa. After this, in the press release, the post webinar press release we're doing, could you kindly include that? To go on the app, pero gaya ng akong parang medyo low-tech, ano ang mas kayang gawin? Go to the Wild Bird Club website or Facebook or even to my Facebook page, pero si Ipat ang in charge, ikaw ang aking biodiversity expert sa team, okay? So yan ang sagot natin kay Gigs Martinez. Fritz Hermoso, season, every time I visit my friend's farm, I saw kingfisher, crow, tabon. What to do to keep them going back to the farm? What to do? So, RJ, good morning. Pani Chodoro Tolosa, Congresswoman Lauren from the Chodoros of Tigbawan. Ay, kamusta po kayo? Dai Hernandez, Juvie Esperanza, congrats Yani. Sabi niya, Day Hernandez, Kuya Yani. Okay, Fritz Hermoso, I'm keeping my old Canon DSLR. What is the best lens to use for photographing birds? Naku, hindi ko na masagot po yan. Okay, Rad Sularte, Fresca Pagunsan from Las Vegas. Aba, they're staying up for us. Nelly Mistio from the University of Antique. Dr. Nelly Mistio. We will have a webinar. IPAT will coordinate with the 5 campuses of the University of Antique. We would ask the Bird Club to join us for the expert advice, and we will have the local Bird Club of the region of Panay. Merl Luna Tabano from Mount Kitanglad Range. Alam ba nyo, ako po yung author niyan sa aking first term bago ko na ipasa sa aking third term yung expanded natural integrated protected areas. Inisa-isa ko ang protected areas at Mount Kitanglad ang una kong legislated protected area. Kaya ginabati po kayo, ASEAN Heritage Park yan sa Bukidnon. Lilibeth Omadle sa Turnino, proud Antique. We love you, Congresswoman. Yes, I love you too. Thank you very much, Antique. And as I said, we will do a dedicated Antique webinar on birds with the Panay Bird Club and with local bird watchers, organized or not, and we will invite our national bird club officers present with us. As long as you're available, we would be happy to have a local virtual bird watching. It's 12:10, and we wish we could go on and on. I thank all of you for sharing your expertise, your pictures, going out of your way. I would like to learn more about how to make our backyard bird friendly, to propagate more birds in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of a city. But if you live in the province, very good, paano palapitin ang ating mga ibon. Kaya yung mga art card na shinare ni Gina ay hihiramin natin. Pero lahat ng mga art card, pati na ang paintings ni Cristina, at lahat ng mga letrato na binigay ni Mike Lu, ni Jelaine, at saka ni Bayani, did I miss anyone, ay kasama din dyan. Okay? Including my amateur bird watching and bird calls that I tape. I've much more on my phone. Hindi lang na-research nung aking staff. Ang dami kong pinopost sa aking Instagram. Mas kinakonti lang ang followers ko. Feel ko lang talaga mag-bird watching at ano man tawag sa bird hearing. Bird watching na rin yun. Tama, Ipat? Bird watching ba ang tawag mo doon?
Birding na lang.
Birding. Oo, kasi ako, madalas ako birding dahil, I'll confess this. Hindi confess. Si Ipat na nagbigay sa akin ng aking bagong binoculars. Pero meron kaming funny anecdote na nangyari last weekend that shows my low-tech nature. I will not share it now. It's so embarrassing. Pero yung birding skills ko, kasi I'm a very alert and mindful person, enjoy na enjoy ako. Basta meron lang ako maliit na telepono para i-capture. Pag meron na akong ganun, binoculars, nasa stress na ako sa technology dahil yung ABCD ni IPAT para sa basic ay hindi ko pa kaya. Pero kakayanin ko yan, IPAT, okay? So, thank you to all of you. Take 5 minutes after this webinar na tumanaw sa iyong garden, tumanaw sa iyong farm. Pero kung tayo'y nasa syudad at walang garden at walang farm, magtanaw sa bintana. Kung walang bintana at computer ang sa harap, tumingin sa mga letrato. So, thank you very much. We will all join the Bird Festival virtually on Saturday. Can you repeat, please, Ipat? How do we access? How do we register? On what Facebook page? Clearly, direct to the point.
Okay. I think close na yung registration, so you can just watch on Facebook Live. And that can be watched all day at the WBCP World Wild Bird Club of the Philippines Facebook page. And I think lahat ng members are being asked to also share the stream. Kaya about 200 people siguro mag-share ng stream. So that can be streamed live on all of those members' profiles. Hopefully also in Kong Loren Dagarda and other Facebook pages.
So no registration needed. It's free. You can just go on the Facebook. We will include it after the show and in our post webinar press release to guide everybody. Guide to make our gardens, our backyards, our little homes, even our windows bird friendly. And we will all join on Saturday for free. See? Libre po ang entertainment. Libre po ang ating panunood ng kalikasan. Kaya let us protect, conserve nature so that it takes care of us. Thank you very much, Climate Change Commission, our partner in this webinar. Thank you to the Climate Reality Philippines, Institute of Climate and Sustainable Cities, as well as the Mother Earth Foundation. Oh wait, I have to read. Sonia Mendoza, Sonia Mendoza of the Mother Earth is our partner here. Okay, I have to read what she said. Marami daw siyang birds in her veranda every day, the whole day. They wake me up in the morning, but good to know how to attract them. Blue Ridge is a bird sanctuary, yes. And I'm sure marami kang birds because you segregate waste. And she doesn't use pesticides, of course. She's a chemist, doesn't use fertilizers. And they're in the garden the whole day, the birds are good. They have 3 orioles, very noisy, but they're not noisy. They're good to hear. There are a lot of long tails and of course, mga maya. Thanks, very useful webinar. Very good, thank you very much. And thank you. It's a good day. Let us all do birding. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Deputy Speaker. See you all on Saturday.
Yeah.